Weekend Chefs. Today we are taking on Valentine's Day dinner. We're going to make a mushroom risotto, creamy and delicious, of course, and we're going to do a layered mousse for dessert. We're going to have a chocolate mousse, a peanut butter mousse, which is then topped with a vegan chocolate ganache. So let's go. Prepping the vegetables for our mushroom stock. We're going to start with removing the stems of the shiitake mushrooms. We're going to remove the stems from our portobello mushrooms, and we're going to also remove the gills. Go ahead and throw the gills away. They tend to make the stock a little bit dark and bitter. Next, we're going to dice half of an onion into medium-sized dice. To that, we're going to add our wood of ear mushrooms. We have 1 bay leaf, we have a sprig of thyme, and we also have 2 cloves of garlic. Heat a saucepan over medium heat. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. To that, we're going to add our diced onion and our garlic. We're going to start sweating the onion and garlic for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Next, we're going to add our mushroom stems. We're going to season with salt, and then we're going to add the wood ear mushroom and our aromatics. To that, we're going to add our vegetable stock. We're going to bring the vegetable stock up to a boil, and then we're going to turn it down to a simmer, and we're going to allow the vegetable stock to cook for roughly 30 minutes before we start adding it to our risotto. Hands down, one of my favorite mushroom marinades of all time. It pairs perfectly with the meatiness of the portobello. We're going to start it off with 5 or 6 cloves of garlic, minced very fine. We're going to add the salt to the garlic during the mincing process. We're going to add the minced garlic to a mixing bowl. To that mixing bowl, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. We're going to remove the leaves of the thyme. We're going to chiffonade the sage. We're going to mix all of that together, adjust the seasoning with the salt. Into the marinade goes our prepped portobello mushrooms. Take the time to really massage the mushrooms with the marinade. Make sure you get it inside the mushroom cap. Make sure you get it on the outside. We're then going to place the mushrooms on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Put additional marinade on top of the mushrooms. Into the oven, 450 for 20 minutes. I have to say, honestly, one of the things I love cooking most forever is risotto. There's something so romantic and so communal about standing over the stove with a pot of rice, stirring, adding stock, stirring, talking with friends, drinking wine. It's one of the most fun things you could possibly do. And it's actually a perfect thing to do on Valentine's Day. So let's get started with our risotto. We're gonna have a large pot over medium heat. We're gonna add our 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We're gonna add our small diced onion. We're gonna start cooking the onion, sweating the onion. After the onions start to release some of their liquid, we're gonna hit them with the shiitake mushrooms. Continue to saute the onions and the mushrooms together. We're essentially looking for the mushrooms to release their liquid, the onions to release the liquid. We do not want to have any color on the onions or the mushrooms, however. After sauteing the onions and the mushrooms for roughly 3 to 5 minutes, now we're gonna add 1 cup of our barrio rice. We're gonna continue to saute the rice, basically looking to coat it with the oil and the liquid from the onions and the mushrooms. We're gonna season the rice at this point. We wanna season throughout the dish. We're going to continue to saute for another 2 minutes. After the sauteing of the rice, the onions, and the mushrooms, it's time to add roughly a cup of a nice white wine. And make sure you give a taste before, of course, right? We're drinking white wine, we're making risotto. It's beautiful. So hit the white wine into the rice. We're going to continue to cook until the wine has almost completely evaporated. Once the white wine is almost evaporated, we're going to start adding a ladle at a time of our beautiful mushroom stock. We're going to use a 2-ounce ladle. We're going to hit it with 4 ounces straight away. We're leaving the pan on medium-high heat. We're going to continue to stir, making sure the rice is not sticking to the bottom. We're then going to add our bay leaf and thyme to that. And essentially, we're going to be on non-stop stirring and adding stock from this point on. Essentially, what we're looking for when we're making our risotto is we're looking to add 2 to 4 ounces of stock at a time. We're looking to continue to stir and watching the evaporation occur. You should be able to pull the spoon towards you and it should leave an open space where the risotto does not fall in on itself, that's when you know it's time to add more stock. So essentially we want to cook it almost all the way reduced down, but not so far that we actually start to burn the bottom of the pan or have the starches stick to the bottom of the pan. The risotto is going to take 35 to 45 minutes, so just buckle in, rotate if you need to. We just need to keep repeating this process of adding liquid, reducing, adding liquid, reducing. So we've been cooking for about 35-40 minutes at this point, and it's looking like it's just about done. A great way to test this is take a small spoonful and actually try to chew a grain of rice with your molars. And when you could just feel the rice kind of stick to the molar, kind of a little bit of crunch, al dente, that's when we know it's done. So we're gonna turn it off the heat at this point. We're gonna add additional stock, around 6 ounces. After incorporating the 6 ounces of stock into the risotto, leave the risotto off to the side. We're gonna finish the mushrooms for the dish, and then we're gonna plate it, and it's gonna be perfect. Now it's time to fry our sage and fry the wood ear mushrooms. We're gonna start with 2 tablespoons of vegan butter in a pan. We're gonna start melting the butter. As soon as the butter starts to melt, we're gonna add pieces of fresh sage. We're gonna continue to cook the sage, turning the leaves, making sure they're becoming crispy and really kind of that very bright green color. As soon as they change color, you know you're very close to the sage being fried. As soon as it's fried, remove it from the pan and place it on a paper towel to drain. At this point, all the sage should be out of the butter. The butter should be starting to turn brown just a little bit. We're gonna add our wood ear mushroom pieces to the butter. We're gonna continue to cook the wood ear in the butter. We're gonna make sure the wood ear is completely coated in the butter. We're gonna hit it with a little bit of salt, and now we're ready to plate the risotto. Oh, now is the best part of the whole thing. We're gonna start with putting a few big spoonfuls down on a plate first. And then we're gonna start placing our wood ear mushrooms, a slice of the portobello, and then we're gonna start adding the fried sage. It's a little bit of texture, it's a pop of earthiness. We really have a delicious plate of food here. Let's make the peanut butter mousse. The first step in this is we need a double boiler set up where we have a pot with simmering water. On top of that, we have a heat-resistant bowl. Inside the bowl, we have a half a cup of peanut butter, extra smooth. We have 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, 3 tablespoons of maple syrup, 2 tablespoons of plant milk. Continue to mix the peanut butter mixture until it has all come together into one smooth peanut butter paste. Remove the peanut butter from the heat, set the peanut butter aside. We're gonna place another bowl on top of our double boiler. Place a half a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips in the bowl, 1 tablespoon coconut oil, 2 tablespoons plant milk. Continue to mix the chocolate mixture until the coconut milk has melted and the plant milk has been incorporated into the chocolate. Remove the bowl, setting aside. It's time for a little magic. We're gonna whip our aquafaba liquid right now. We're gonna combine 3/4 of a cup of cold aquafaba liquid into our mixing bowl. We're gonna add 1 teaspoon of rice wine vinegar. I start the mixing on speed 2. This kind of starts breaking up the aquafaba. It starts incorporating the air slowly. I do that for about 30 seconds and then I crank it all the way up to the highest speed it'll go. And we're gonna continue to whip on high for roughly about 3 minutes. It takes less time than you think to reach stiff peaks. What we're looking for is that very stiff, firm, whipped meringue style feeling. It's time to actually make the peanut butter mousse. Place a large spoonful of the whipped aquafaba into the bowl with the peanut butter. We're gonna gently start folding the peanut butter and the aquafaba together so that they come together in a smooth peanut butter mousse. The aquafaba will release some of its air and deflate a touch, but by the end it should still be light and fluffy. As we continue to mix, take another spoonful of aquafaba and continue to mix. We're adding a little more volume to it. You should use half of the whipped aquafaba for the peanut butter and the other half for the chocolate. Repeat the process with the melted chocolate. We're gonna take a heaping spoonful of the whipped aquafaba. We're gonna start folding it into the chocolate, and then we're gonna add additional aquafaba, mixing until the chocolate is completely incorporated into the aquafaba, creating a chocolate mousse that's ready for our next step. To make the chocolate ganache, we're gonna use a small bowl over a double boiler. We're gonna use a half a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, 1 tablespoon of plant milk. Gently melt the chocolate over very low heat until all the coconut has been absorbed as well as the plant milk. It should be a smooth, very velvety texture. So a nice trick that I like to use is an ice cream scoop. It's a great way to get the mousse into the cup without making a big mess. So we're gonna start with the chocolate mousse on the bottom, one big scoop, maybe a scoop and a half. Give it a little shake and a tap to make sure it's flat. Next, we're gonna do that with a clean scoop, and we're gonna add the peanut butter mousse to that. We're gonna do a little shake and a tap to that as well. We're gonna place the mousse in the refrigerator for about 5 minutes just to set the top of the peanut butter mousse. After the top of the mousse is set just a touch, we're gonna go ahead and pour our ganache on top. Do a couple spoonfuls and then gently twist the cup, enabling the ganache to make an even layer on top, and finished with toasted chopped peanuts on top. And what we have is the most deliciously sweet and light chocolatey peanut butter cup. Woo, I love it. I hope you enjoy making these recipes as much as I have enjoyed cooking them. I really love the peanut butter and the chocolate ganache combination. It just is like, oh, it just makes me so happy. Another thing I just wanted to bring up is we have Those Vegan Chefs up and going on the blog. If you want to print the recipe, we have a print button, super cool. And if you have any questions or concerns, just leave a comment, I'll get back to you. And as always, we will for sure see you next Saturday. Like, subscribe, see you soon.